You could go from one pain clinic to the next pain clinic and just stack up thousands of pills.
That's wild.
And then they would just drive up the coast, up Florida rather, into the northern states and sell them. And that was the OxyContin Express.
Dude, how do you get into that's got to be such a specific sect of humanity that wants to get into that kind of journalism, right?
Yeah, you got to be very, very, very brave.
Yeah, it's not you're not reading the morning news, dude. No. That's not scratching the itch for you.
No, she's trying to figure things out and then expose people to information that's otherwise unavailable. She found that there was LA cops that were selling drugs to the Mexican they were selling guns to the Mexican cartels. So they would confiscate guns from criminals, and then they would fill up a trunk with AKs and ARs and pistols, and then they would drive to Mexico because to get into Mexico is easy. Coming to America is where it's difficult and they check you. But get into Mexico, you just drive right through. So they were driving right through with trunkfuls of confiscated weapons, and they would deliver them to the cartels.
Wow, dude. It's just hard to believe that kind of stuff happens.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she said it happens all the time, and that's the main way they acquire weapons.
That's wild, man.
It's crazy. Fucking cops.
Yeah. The world's crazy, man. It's a crazy place, dude.
Yeah. It's wild that we think about all the different things, the conflicts that are happening overseas, when one of the most wild conflicts is happening right south of our border.
Yeah.
And, you could literally walk over there.
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard about those folks that got killed, where these people went down there. I think the story is one of the women went over there for plastic surgery. I think she went over there. They crossed the border. I think she's getting a butt lift or something because it's cheaper in Mexico.
Right.
And they got mistaken for a rival cartel. They got mistaken for some sort of rival drug dealers or something, and they killed two of them. And they kidnapped these Americans and killed two of them.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's a real recent story. Here it is. How a trip to Mexico for cosmetic surgery turned deadly for U.S. quartet. Deaths of 2 of 4 Americans kidnapped at Matamoros place spotlight on cartels' impunity and on medical tourism. Jesus Christ.
Dude, that is wild, man.
Fucking crazy. Yeah.
So
they came from Lake City, South Carolina to Matamoros, Tamaulipas, just south of the U.S.-Mexico frontier. They arrived in the border city on the 3rd of March, but never made it to the clinic. Members of a violent drug cartel that controls the area mistook the group of Americans as rival traffickers, killed 2 of them, and kidnapped McGee and one of her friends. McGee and Eric Williams were rescued within days, and the bodies of her cousin, Shaheed Woodward, and friend Zindell Brown were later repatriated. On Thursday, 5 men who allegedly carried out the attack were dumped on a Matamoros street, along with a surreal letter of apology, purportedly from the Gulf Cartel. We ask the public to be calm, the letter said in Spanish. We are committed that the mistakes caused by indiscipline won't be repeated, and that those responsible pay, no matter who they are. Fuck,
that's
man.
Wild, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
that's wild stuff, dude.
It's a sketchy place, man, and it's fueled by the fact that drugs are illegal. That's what's crazy. It's like our idea that we're gonna, keep people safe by making drugs illegal is propping up an illegal enterprise worth untold billions of dollars just south of us.
Massive amounts, dude. Massive amounts of money. You can't even process how much money it is.
It's crazy. Yeah, and it's also responsible for the fentanyl deaths of 100,000 people a year. It's like, fucking A, man.
Crazy times, man.
Yeah.
It really is, man.
I've always wanted to go to Mexico to hunt because, in Sonora.
Yeah, Coos deer and stuff like that.
And a giant mule deer.
Yeah.
They have giant mule deer south of the border.
Really?
Yeah, huge. Never seen the mule deer in Mexico? See if you can find, just Google giant mule deer in Mexico. Yeah, people go. A buddy of mine just went over there and shot a fucking monster. And he said, I don't know if I'm going back again. He said, we had to meet members of the cartel, and we pulled up to this place, and these dudes, look at the size of these mule deer. I mean,
oh, goodness.
Yeah, look at these things. And it's all in the desert of Mexico. It's like one of the most known places for enormous mule deer in Sonora, which is interesting, right? Because they have these tiny little Coos deer
And then they have these.
And then
just
these
look at
monster-
that one. Goodness.
Yeah. Click on that one, Jamie. Yeah, that one right there. Look at that fucker.
Good night, dude.
I mean,
That's hard
monstrous,
to believe, dude.
monstrous mule deer.
That's like semi-elk, dude. You're like getting into elk territory with that. You know what I mean?
And it's the territory is gorgeous, and it's like the landscape is beautiful. But, you know, you might pass some dudes that are, you know, parked in front of a G-Wagon with, you know, AKs hanging from their shoulders. And you're like, oh, my God. And then they ask you questions and talk to you, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
They just might kidnap you.
God, that'd be real scary.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time they leave those people alone because there's a lot of revenue and tourism, and they don't want to fuck that up, and they also don't want to bring heat down on them, which is what happened when these Americans got kidnapped. All of a sudden, the world is aware, and that can be very dangerous for them.
Yeah.
But I think them dropping those 5 gauss off on the streets probably going to squash it, you know, as weird as that is.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy stuff, man. It's just... like, again, it's just hard to believe that stuff's going on.
Right now, right there. And
Somewhere,
it's on the same land mass as America.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. The same, literally just further down south in Texas. It's
like
happening right
closer, there. Like, it's closer to where we're at right now than I was this morning from